Hello everybody. All right, back for another little quick ride. Yep, it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Well, it's not quite afternoon. It's 10 minutes to 12 on a Saturday, and it's trying to beat the heat. It's only 92 right now. It's going to get up to a little 100 or a little over 100, about 92 right now. So try to get a little bit of ride time in, run some errands. A few days before Labor Day. And so I'm gonna do a little Labor Day shopping. I guess you call it shopping. Get things ready for a little low-level barbecue. Nothing special. So today I was gonna do a little bit of talk. I talked earlier. Well, on Tuesday I made a video about the fact that that was the 1-year anniversary of me getting a bike. Yeah, the 26th of August. Today's the 29th, I think. Yeah. Oh, today's the 30th. Okay. Sorry about the trying to open up my little zip fizz here. And I did indicate that I was going to talk a little bit about what got me into. Oh no, I dropped my cap. I have to get my cap. Be right back. Okay, so yeah, with the 1-year anniversary being a few days ago, I said I was gonna discuss the thing that pushed me into getting an e-bike. And it's a bit of a long-winded story, but it's one that I've told several times, and I probably need to just go ahead and record it so that I don't have to keep repeating myself anymore. Just send everybody to the recording so they can know the whole process of what went through. So it's kind of, like I said, a bit long-winded. Anyway, it all goes back to 2019, I believe it's 2019, I'm pretty sure. We were having our convention for the National Bowling Association in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I was the president of the organization. And, we had some 400 or 500 people attending the convention, and 8,000 to 10,000 people showing up for the TNBA week, as we call it, for the bowling events. It was a pretty big deal. And it lasts for about between 7 to 10 days of activities. Depending if you're arriving early and leaving late, a couple 10 days thereabouts. So, and as the president of the organization, I have the power to allow or disallow certain budgets to be processed. And at a convention like this, we tend to need to have some of our members that are part of the different programs they have a need for rental vehicles because they're so long. And we got quite a few places. We tend to use 3 to 4 major bowling centers, and plus the hotel that we're at. And usually there's an array of 3, 4, or even more hotels that are used by our members. So rental cars are used for those that have a need. And justifiably, when you get a rental car, you can have all the expenses and everything associated with that included as part of the expenses of the rental car. But me, being very frugal minded, I took it upon myself for my rent-a-car that, and I inquired about this prior to me making this decision, and I started doing it for quite a few of most of my rentals were done this way. I asked, so if I don't take out the insurance for the rent-a-car, what does that really come down to? And so the rent-a-car companies informed me that if I didn't have the rent-a-car insurance, or what the primary thing for the getting rent-a-car insurance through the rental company was that you don't have to worry about paying any deductibles. Everything's taken care of you, at fault, not at fault, whatever. You don't have to worry about anything like that. But the primary difference is that if you don't do it, that your insurance company will take up the claim, and it'll be against your insurance company as an accident, on your claim, and you'd have to pay the deductible. And so I felt in my mind that if I was responsible, if I was in an accident and I was responsible for it, I duly should have to pay the deductible, because if I'm the one that was at fault, versus having the organization paying for the extra insurance. So I opted not to have the insurance from the rent-a-car company cover me, assuming that the rent-a-car company's assessment was correct, that I would be responsible for the deductible if I was involved in an accident, and that would only be if I was at fault. If the other person's at fault, then they're the ones that pay for it. So, and by doing so, I was saving the organization over the 10-day period that I had to rent a car several $100s, because I think it's like $30 to $40 a day for the rent-a-car insurance. And so, you figure 10 days, that's $300-400. So that was my mindset. So I provided the insurance, the rent-a-car company, my personal insurance. They verified and checked it and verified that it was adequate to get the rent-a-car. And then they gave me the rent-a-car. So that's the first thing. Now, in the middle of the trip, I was running an errand, and I had a passenger with me, and we're on the highway in Florida, and there's a state trooper driving ahead of me, way up ahead of me. I could see him in the distance, and so I'm paying attention, and I see that he's turns his lights on and is going to pull somebody over. And so, he's in my lane. We're in the number 3 lane. It's a 3-lane highway. So the middle lane is the number one. I'm sorry, the lane closest to the center is the number 1 lane, and then the number 2 lane would be right to the right of that, and then in this case, the number 3 lane would be to the right of that. So it's the far right lane on the highway. And so he's pulling somebody over, and as he's pulling him over, the car goes over to the side off the highway. He does not go off the highway and literally stays in the lane and blocks the lane, comes to a stop and blocks the lane that everyone in that 3rd lane was driving in. And so now, because of this state trooper, that's what it was, a state trooper making a stop, because of his actions, 1/3 of the freeway is now being blocked. And so I am in that lane, and I'm forced to change lanes. And so I looked and verified that I had a free lane next to me, the middle lane, and I proceed to change lanes. And as I'm changing lanes, I see that the car that was in the number 1 lane also was trying to merge into that number 2 lane, the middle lane. And so we're both coming into the same lane at the same time, and I'm honking my horn, freaking out because I have no choice. I can't back off because of the trooper and the cars behind me. I'm not going to just make a sudden stop. That's what it would take to do that, because and that would be even more distracting. So I'm honking my horn, trying to get the guy's attention, let them know, you know, I'm into this. We're both going into the same lane. And he, in my opinion, my assessment was that he was a bit distracted or couldn't hear my horn, and because he had a passenger in the car with him, so I don't know, you know, whatever was going on. So the bottom line is he never backed off, and we ended up sideswiping each other. And I'm frustrated as heck, seeing that, you know, I was making every attempt possible to avoid that. And we both go ahead and pull off to the side. And meantime, the trooper that, quote, caused this incident to occur had finished up with the person that he pulled over. And as I'm getting out of the car to go communicate with the person that we had the side swipe with, I'm getting out of my car and, you know, you walk towards the guy. The state trooper pulls up and tells me to go back and get in my car. And then he proceeds on, because the guy was ahead of me. He proceeds on and goes and talks to the guy that was in the accident with me. He talks to him, and then he comes back, or he starts walking back. And as he is walking back, the other vehicle takes off. And I'm sitting there flabbergasted, mouth dropped down, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I wanted to assess the damages to his car, whatever, you know, exchange information and go over the whole incident. And the guy took off, and the trooper's walking back towards me. And I said, I'm trying to tell him, why is he taking off? He said, I told him to go. I said, well, I didn't get to his information. And the trooper says, I have all this information. I took down all the details. I have all this information. And I'm writing you up a ticket because you were at fault. He's telling me this. Never went over any of the details of what happened. Telling me that I was at fault. And he was writing me up a ticket. And that all the information for the other party would be included in his report. So I'm livid, and I literally get frustrated with the trooper, asking him, number one, why in the world did you stop your vehicle in the lane as opposed to moving to the side? I said, I'm from California. We would never do anything like that in California. And he said, well, this is in California, and that's what I do. He was a real young guy, just probably his mid-20s. As a trooper, and that's my guess, of course. But nonetheless, he that didn't go over very well when I challenged his decision to do that. So he writes up my ticket and gives it to me, and here I am, someone from out of town, and he knew that, and faced with challenging this ticket. So all the next few days that I had there, I was contacting the state trooper's office and everything regarding that ticket. And I finally got through to somebody and said that I wanted to get an immediate decision, because I said I live out of state and I'd like to have this thing looked into before I leave town, because I didn't, you know. So anyway, that was my thing. And so person that I finally talked to and everything, after some rambling around everything, he actually told me that they were just going to go ahead and dismiss the ticket. So anyway, that's what ended up happening with that part. And in the meantime, the vehicle that I was renting, it had zero damage, none, zero damage to it, indistinguishable that we were in any type of collision. I could not, or didn't have the opportunity of seeing the other vehicle to find out what happened with theirs, but the car that I had was a dark maroon SUV, and he had, I believe, a white sedan. So I'm sure that there might have been a little paint that rubbed off from my rental car to his, or something to that effect. I don't know. But I didn't get a chance to do any inspecting. So I literally turned the rental car in, and they didn't see any damage to it. It was turned in, and they inspected the vehicle and took it in as though, you know, there was nothing that ever happened to it. So that was the condition of the car that I had. In the meantime, I'm still trying to figure out, you know, and I did report it to my insurance company, but I didn't report it to the, I did not report it to the rental car company because, like I said, there was no damages assessed on that vehicle. So anyhow, some time goes on, and I get you know, claim and everything with my insurance company. I didn't know how the state of Florida worked, because I was told that some states they have a you know, no fault where everybody just covers their own vehicles. I didn't know what the situation was in Florida at all. But anyway, the bottom line, well, not bottom line, but anyway, what's transpired after that was the insurance company notified me and said that I was driving a vehicle that was not my vehicle out of state, and based on some obscure clause in their insurance policy, they did not need to cover me, and that they were not going to cover me, and that I would be on my own. And so I became livid over that. And then I come to hear from the rental car company saying that my insurance company is not kicking in, and that the other party is claiming damages and has a lawsuit against me. And I told them that I was retired, had no income, nothing on record as far as income, etc. And I claimed that, you know, I'm living with my family, and you know, I don't have any money to pay for something that was not my responsibility, from my opinion. And anyway, they took it upon themselves, because the passenger in this vehicle, the passenger in this vehicle actually initiated a claim for what's the term? Pain and suffering, and all that she had to go through is a female passenger. And so she was actually requesting, I believe, $25,000 in damages for a side-swiping accident that had zero damage to my vehicle. And it turns out that the damage to the other guy's vehicle was $1,100, which is, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 drops of paint that needs to be covered up. I have no idea because, again, I didn't get to assess all that. But so she's trying to claim $25,000 in pain, suffering, and injury, and all this associated with that side swipe. And the insurance, the rental car company says, well, they're a party to the suit because they're the registered owner of the vehicle, and so as a party to the suit, they're going to go ahead and settle. I said, okay, well, shouldn't this go to, I'm saying to myself, shouldn't this be something that should go to court, or something that determines who's at fault and does some level of investigating? I mean, I did give my story to the insurance company initially describing the incident, but there was no, I'm here being sued, and I have not been proven to be at fault. And I truly felt that I was not at fault. There was nothing that so anyway, the bottom line is, and I thought at worst, it'd be considered something 50-50, but I really felt that it was the gentleman's fault for not paying attention and making the unsafe lane change as I was making my change. So that was my real stance on this whole issue. All right, so that was a rental car company saying that they were gonna take care of everything. And after they took care of everything, they came back to me saying that they wanted me to pay them $12,000 to $13,000, something like that, for settling the suit because my insurance wasn't covering it. I said, well, I wasn't at fault. Why would I be paying that? And anyway, it just, so you can see this mountain that's building up here. We haven't gotten to the top of the mountain yet. So anyway, they sent me over a thing, an affidavit saying whether or not verifying my income and ability to pay and all that. So I filled out everything, and they took it upon themselves to know that I didn't have I had no $13,000 that I was, that they could see that was going to allow me to pay that. And if I did have it, which I did have, there's no way in the world that I'm just going to just own up and just pay for something that was not my fault, which is the key thing, not my fault. And so go ahead and get to this crosswalk here. So yeah, and so after filling out that affidavit, they took it in, and I dismissed it. I was still living in LA at the time, and literally 2.5 years later, thereabouts, I get a notice from the insurance company. No, I'm sorry. I get a notice from a lawyer that sent a certified letter to me at my home in Las Vegas. By the time all this transpired, I had moved from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. And they sent a certified letter from a lawyer in the Las Vegas yet from Nevada, saying that the rental car company was pursuing their rights to have me reimbursed what they paid out for this incident, and wanted me to immediately pay them the $12,000 some odd dollars. I frantically started calling my No, I think I started pursuing how I was going to defend myself since I didn't have any coverage, and somehow I got a call from my. Actually, I was literally at the courthouse the day that the response was required back from the notification of being sued, and I was trying to fill out the paperwork to respond to it so that I could fight this thing. And while I was at the courthouse and had started filling out the paperwork, and I think I was in line, I get a call from my previous insurance company, because I had changed insurance company by this time. And they're saying that they see that I'm in a lawsuit from that rental car accident. And they said that they were not going to pay any damages or pay any settlement for the lawsuit, but they are obligated to represent me legally on behalf of that accident, and that they had assigned a lawyer to me. And so I explained, I was in the process of filling out the paperwork myself. So anyway, bottom line is I abandoned that handling the situation myself in court, and contacted, or I was contacted, I can't remember who contacted which, but anyway, the lawyer and we started having some sessions, and I went over everything, and they said that the way it transpired, I did not have any grounds for disputing who was at fault. And because of the way it's going on, the assumption of who was at fault was just me. And I never ever had an opportunity to defend myself, or to go over my story and hear the other guy's story, and have a day in court where someone would make a decision as to who was really responsible and how it should be divvied up. So that was my big issue. But he says that we're past that I have no option of opening that back up and proving that I was not at fault. So that's the first thing he told me. He says, but what we can do is try to, the payment to the other parties, because most of the payment was to the passenger, and the other was just for the damages. The driver didn't claim anything as far as bodily injury or whatever. So the passenger claimed was $25,000, and they settled for 10 or 11. I think it was settled for $10,000 to give to her, and then the balance they had for the repairing the vehicle, and that's where the $12,000 somebody came up thereabouts. So anyway, so he indicated that I have no claim on going back and proving that I wasn't at fault, that they have to take a position of trying to minimize the costs of this thing. And but about me trying to prove that it wasn't my fault was not part of the package. So what I went back to, and earlier on, before, as things were transpiring, when I found out my insurance company wasn't covering me, I looked into filing a claim with California Insurance Bureau, or I forgot. It's an entity that oversees the insurance agencies in California. Because I really felt that my insurance company should have been responsible, because I had insurance, and everybody that including the rental car company, everyone thought that my insurance would be the ones that would cover it. And they're the ones that backed down out of it and tried and use a technicality on their end to not settle or even take it up and do any kind of, they just walked away from that. But anyway, so that was my position, is trying to get that I had to approach, was try to find out why my insurance company didn't. When I did go to the state agency, they just kind of let it just fell through the cracks. It never came back to saying that yeah, they had the right to, or they didn't have the right to. I can't remember, but nonetheless, I still never got a judgment that the insurance company should have been responsible. So now we're at the point where I have this legal representation by my former insurance company that I felt should have covered it. We're going over details, and he offered, he's going back and forth with the lawyer with the other party, and he came to me and said that, well, what do you think about having arbitration, going to arbitration instead of going to court to try to settle this? And so I said, okay, I guess that's fine. I just want this thing to go away. And I felt that hearing my side of the story anyone of good, reasonable judgment would feel that I shouldn't be coming up with this $12,000. Anyhow, we decided to go with the arbitration, and we went through the process of meeting with the arbitrator over virtually. This was during the pandemic times. I think it was. Anyway, trying to figure my path here. And the first thing that the arbitrator brought up was the way the lawsuit was filed. It was a lot of inaccuracies in the way the lawsuit was filed. It was saying that the driver was the one that was claiming the damages versus the passenger, and anyway, it was because of the way they drafted it and put the thing together. The arbitrator immediately threw out the repayment of the bodily damage and pain and suffering, etc., that the rent-a-car company paid out. So they completely threw that out. And then after he started, and then we went through the whole side of telling each one side of the story, etc. And the arbitrator took it under submission, which meant that he was going to review everything and give his decision within a week or so. So that's where we left it. And it came back that the arbitrator said that, as he was indicating in our actual arbitration live meeting, that he was throwing out the settlement that was paid to the young lady, but he says that because one of the things we discussed in the arbitration was the fact that I was misled by both the by the rental car company and my insurance company, that I would be covered by my insurance policy in taking and renting this car. And everyone that I knew of, including a lot of my lawyer friends, they thought the same thing, that when you have your personal insurance, that and don't take out the rent-a-car insurance, that you just simply resort to your personal insurance and the deductibility, etc. But somehow my insurance company, which was Infinity at the time, just so you guys know, they had some kind of clause that allowed them to wiggle around that. So his arbitration says that based on the some real got to navigate around these thorn, these things. Oof. That I had to abide by that particular contract clause, and therefore he made me liable for the $1,100 some odd dollars in damages to the vehicle that the gentleman had. And so that's what came back as the written judgment. And so immediately I started reaching out to my my lawyer that was sent to me from my insurance company to find out, well, what's my next step? Because I'm not going to pay that month. I just adamantly feel that I was not at fault, and this is extortion. This is trying to get me to pay something that I had no responsibility. I don't feel I should be responsible for. And so that was, and so me making frantic calls to my lawyer. The first time around, I actually got his assistant, and we had scheduled a Zoom meeting to review or to go over everything, but the Zoom meeting that was scheduled, the lawyer didn't show up for. He he missed it, and so after that I started frantically trying to call the law firm, and I would never get anything connected. No assistant, no lawyer, no nothing. I'm gonna go back this way. Sorry, kind of navigating some uncharted territories. Gotta make sure I'm going the right ways. So, my lawyer basically ghosted me, and I must have made a dozen phone calls easily, trying to reach out to find out what's the next step. And then I found out that the arbitration was binding. I didn't realize that, and that's totally ignorance on my part, that when you choose to go to arbitration, that is binding versus having an option to appeal it or go further or anything like that. So I found out I was really stuck in a pickle at that time. Thank you. And so okay, on your right. Okay, thank you. So I discovered that, and all of a sudden, I guess months later, I get a letter from the Department of Motor Vehicle in the state of Nevada stating that they have down that a judgment against me has not been settled. It was due to a traffic incident, and that I had like 20 days, or by the time I got the notice, it was less than 3 weeks, to resolve this. Otherwise, my license would be suspended, because I had a judgment against me that has not been settled due to a traffic accident. And now I'm frantically trying to call my lawyer once again. And I spent just exhaustive efforts trying to reach out to this guy, and never got a return call. Never got a hold of anyone. Left tons of voice messages and tell them how desperate I was in trying to figure out what my options were and how I go about doing this. And then literally like 3 or 4 days before the date that this was to go into effect, which was I think June 24th, I believe is what it was. I'll tell you why I remember that, but anyway, I could never get a hold of my lawyer, so I went and called DMV and says, listen, I need to have some kind of extension on this, because I'm still trying to work out getting this thing settled versus getting my license revoked or suspended. And they said there's nothing that I could do, that it has to come through, be released by the opposing attorney. And then said, well, and then he actually volunteered and gave me the contact information of the opposing attorney, because I told him I had no luck trying to reach my attorney. That's why I was trying to get the delay and the suspension. Anyway, I start frantically calling the opposing lawyer 3-4 times a day for the next 2 days, 3 days. It was like a Thursday when I finally got the information from the person, and Monday was the day of my suspension. So I'm frantically calling her, telling her I need to come up with some type of a settlement that she could send to the DMV before this deadline. Otherwise, I was going to be faced with a suspended license, and the suspended license goes with they would take away the registered vehicles that I have, and I'd have to pay a reinstatement for my license. I'd have to pay a reinstatement for each of the vehicles. The vehicles reinstatements were $500 extra each, and I had 2 vehicles. That's $1,000, and I didn't even find out what the reinstatement for my license after it was suspended. And I would also have to acquire some special insurance, SR22 insurance after having a suspended license, and so it's over and above the regular insurance. So all that was on the table for me to get settled before the suspension went into effect. So I was frantically trying to get this the opposing attorneys to reach out to me and tell me what try to settle with them. So I felt that it was I was going to swallow my pride and come up with some type of a settlement to make that go away. And anyway, bottom line is that Monday came, and I never heard back anything from the opposing attorney. And that day, my license was suspended from Nevada. And then about 3-4 days later, I get a call from the opposing attorney. And she says that she got all my messages, that she could not return my messages because I was still under the legal care of another attorney, and she couldn't do that until she got permission from that attorney to reach out to me. So that was her explanation. And that now she's got permission from him, and that she's willing to talk about a settlement. And I'm up here shaking my head. Well, I have all these exorbitant expenses now that's been added on to me getting my license back for the state of Nevada. And bottom line is, and I said, well, and the best, what I want to offer you a settlement of $25 a month or $50 a month or something to that effect. And she said, oh no, we have to have this thing paid off in 3 to 6 months at the most, and we're looking at between $1,500 to $2,000 per month to settle this. I said, well, what do you come up with $1,500? I said the judgment was only for $1,100, so $1,100 some odd dollars. He said, yes, but you have to add on top of that my legal fees, which is another $7,000, whatever, some number she gave me. It was several $1,000s, $7,000 to $8,000, I don't know. And so the total is going to be $8,000, $9,000, etc. And I said that on top of having to do all the reinstatement, I said, no, I'd rather just go ahead and continue on with my license under suspension. And I said, I am not going to be paying that for something that I was truly not responsible for. Didn't feel I should be. I was being, I was being bamboozled in this whole process. Oh boy, you know what? I forgot to bring up one also exciting fact, was the fact that the guy that I sideswiped turned out to be an off-duty police officer. So when that state trooper stopped him and talked to him on the side, I found out he was an off-duty officer, good old boys club. So that's what transponded, and how the guy just walked away and drove away, and and they decided to throw everything on me, especially since I was an out-of-towner. So that's a major factor too that I brought up as part of the case. Anyhow, so the attorney drops that on me, and I told her, no thanks, I'm sorry, I'm not selling. So, well, your license is gonna be, you can't drive, you won't be able to drive. I didn't say nothing to her. I said, well, I just have to deal with what I have to deal with. Now, unbeknownst to her, I actually had still in my possession my California driver's license. And the reason why I tell you that date, June 24th or 26th, I can't remember one of those two dates. It was just a few days before my birthday, which is June 30th. And I needed to, I was up for renewal for my California license. And so I was thinking in the back of my head that I could go ahead and try to renew my California license in lieu of my Nevada license, and just kind of do that, make that as a workaround to try to get by the system. So anyway, I went frantically to renew my California license and submitted and everything, and I got a letter back. No, I did it online. I got it immediately. I got an extension because it was like a few days before my expiration date because of my birthday. And so I immediately got oh my goodness, I'm getting a flat tire. No, please don't tell me that. That's gonna be another, I can't believe this. I'm getting a flat tire. Unbelievable. Oh boy. So anyway, let me try to wrap this up real quick. Online renewal. Yep, I got a stupid flat tire. I got to get somewhere I can be comfortable in trying to change this thing. Oh my goodness, this is horrible. Another flat tire. That makes 4 flat tires in 45 days. 4 flat tires in 45 days. Unbelievable. Sidetrack. So I was waiting for the official driver's license to come in the mail, and way after I thought it would be in the mail, I ended up getting a letter from the state of California saying that they could not renew my license because they saw that I had a suspended license in the state of Nevada, and therefore I had until July 30th to resolve that. Otherwise, they were going to revoke my entire license from California, and I have to reapply for a whole new license if I would desire to have one in the future after the problem's resolved with Nevada. Oh my goodness. And so, oh boy, this is ridiculous. I do have an air pump with me, and I do have another spare tire. This is going to be painful. And so anyway, I decided after I got that to just look into alternative sources for getting around, and I looked at all kind of things, and I decided to go with an e-Trike because I was still kind of didn't have the balance issues that or strength and balance issues from coming off my neck surgery, and I knew I was still going to be needing a knee replacement coming up soon. So I decided to go with a trike, and then I got all kind of things to be able to, because my needs for traveling was very minimal. I just go to and from Costco 3 or 4 times a week, and other little tidbit errands like that, less than a couple miles. Let's see if I can drive. Oh my goodness. No, I can't even steer this thing. I'm not gonna be able to steer this. I just need to get someplace comfortable. but I could try to get this thing repaired. But anyway, so I looked into alternative transportation, golf carts and things like that, and I found out that anything with 4 wheels you have to have a driver's license. Anything less than 4 wheels that went without a certain size motor or power was acceptable to. So I can find I think there's a bench up here, hopefully. I can find a bench, I'm in good shape. Great, there we go. Okay, finishing up the story. So I found out that a 3-wheel vehicle that could go less than 28 miles per hour was legal in the state of Nevada. And that's where I decided to get me an e-Trike. And I bought a trailer that went in the back of it to haul some extensive loads if I have to do something bigger than the little baskets that's in the front and the back. And I've been enjoying riding my bike for the past year and 4 or 5 days now. And but that's what led myself into getting an e-bike. In fact, that I was going to be out of $12,000 for something that I didn't need, that I didn't feel responsible for, and that I was not going to accept. And it's all about pride. I understand that, but I just did not feel comfortable giving my money away to somebody, just to all these entities for something that I wasn't clearly responsible for and should not be doing. And I had some friends of mine say, well, you got the money, go ahead and do it. It's more about principles. And so I said that I was going to go ahead and get this e-bike. I was going to work on finding a consumer advocacy group that would be sympathetic to my cause and try to go about challenging the state of Florida, suing the state trooper, suing the rent-a-car company, suing the insurance company that didn't pay, and suing my lawyer that didn't follow through and help me out and assist me in making better decisions. I just feel this whole thing for something I wasn't responsible for. I'm not going to be paying $12,000, and I'm saving on gas and other expenses of having a vehicle. I didn't sell I still have my vehicles. I decided to put my vehicles in somebody else's name and have them on my property. And in an emergency situation, if I had to do something drastic that required me to drive, that is allowed by law, that you could drive in an emergency situation like that. So something health-wise or whatever emergency might pop up. So I wanted to have the vehicles still in my property. So I felt comfortable with that, and I figured the $12,000 a year that I was going to be saving in expenses, that I could take a whole lot of Uber rides that I need to, and just enjoy myself riding bikes. So there you have it. That's the whole full, long-winded story. And I am going to be making another video that has all the documentation and things that I want to have presented to some type of consumer advocacy group that I think might be sympathetic to try to eventually get my my license reinstated. So that's the story. All right, take care. Thanks for listening. Bye.